Welcome to Disrespectfully Agree with Oatman and LJ. I am LJ. Across from me is Mr. Oatman.
Hey, what's happening, folks?
Have a bit of an unusual episode for you this week. This episode is actually a bit of a nostalgia-fueled discussion of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Both of us have been rewatching that show. Just prior to our discussion of the new Picard show, I turned on the mics a little early in the middle of a discussion we were having about an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation in which Q does something nice for Picard. It's an episode called Tapestry, and Oatman was making the argument that it was out of character for Q. He was actually doing something nice, which is not something he's known for. So we're going to start right smack dab in the middle of that conversation and transition very neatly right into our discussion of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Please do enjoy.
Now put me back, Q. Put me back.
I want to be the man that I was.
I want to be I'd rather die the man that I was and live as this person.
But you could argue, he's still playing with him a little bit.
No, he really is. He is really...
But he comes in anyway, he's got like a candygram, or flowers. He's like, is there a John Luck Picard here?
But he really is helping him realize a deep truth that's going to change his life.
Yeah. In any case, Tapestry, I think that episode was called.
It was a good one.
Get on the mic, sir. And
there we go. Get it. Like when you get stabbed, or what do you call those?
Nausicaans.
Nausicaans. They're almost like kind of Klingon-y in some way.
Yeah, it's just more gross.
Yeah, more gross.
And less refined.
Well,
they're more, what's the term? They're less refined. It's just more...
I was watching...
they're like lower class Klingons.
Yeah, basically. I always thought they're like the mix between Klingons and Ferengi. So there's this one scene where Worf is sitting in the old Enterprise and these other Klingons are sitting over there and they're like, are those Klingons? And Worf is like, yes, we don't talk about it.
Oh, yeah, that was great. That was in the Tribbles episode.
Yeah. Now, sadly enough, the Enterprise actually explains it. They have an episode that actually explains it.
It was really dumb.
Really dumb. But, what are you going to do?
Yeah, those are Klingons. We do not discuss it with outsiders.
Yeah, that's the line. You're right. We don't discuss that with outsiders.
It's like, they are Klingons. What happened? Klingon, he always is. Worf has some great lines.
Oh, yeah. Worf is the best. I'm watching through the Deep Space Nine.
He's got some of his best lines are from Deep Space Nine.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's got some great ones.
Absolutely. I love the one where, I forget who it is, just like, and all he does is laugh, but he's like, yeah, there are no Klingon women for me to, mate with.
For me to mate, I would need a Klingon woman.
I would need a Klingon woman. Yeah. And I think somebody said something back.
The Guinan says, there are women on this find you tame.
Yeah.
Impossible. I love that. I think it's at the same time she's offered him prune juice for the first time.
It's a warrior's drink.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that character.
It's like, what is it? Just try it. See? It's an earth drink.
What is it?
Just try it. You see? It's an earth drink. Prune juice.
Warrior's drink.
You always drink alone. It wouldn't hurt you to seek out a little companionship.
I would require a Klingon woman for companionship. Earth females are too fragile.
Not all of them. There are a few on this ship that would find you tame.
Impossible.
You never know till you try.
Then I'll never know.
Coward.
I was merely concerned for the safety of my crewmates.
Drink your prune juice.
Warrior's
drink.
And then he goes into Quark's establishment. He's like, you want some more blood wine? Bring me prune juice.
Yeah, no, prune juice. What? You look, and he's like, okay, all right.
All right, prune juice. Get it.
Some root beer where you're at it?
There's a great root beer line in there.
Probably.
No, here's it. It's Quark and Garrick.
Oh, they have that discussion about root beer.
That's a great scene.
That's a great scene.
And he's like, it's like the Federation.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
It's so bubbly and cloying. Like the Federation.
But if you drink it long enough,
You know what the worst part is? If you drink it,
you
you
start to like it.
Like the
Federation.
It's insidious.
I love that scene.
Might I trouble you for a glass of canard?
Help yourself. It's on the house.
Well, how uncharacteristically generous of you.
I'm in an uncharacteristic mood. Besides, I got 80 cases of this stuff sitting in my stockroom. And the way things are going, I'll never unload another bottle, unless it's to you.
How thoughtless of me not to consider the effect the destruction of my home world would have on your business. These must be trying times for you. Be brave.
I want you to try something for me. Take a sip of this.
What is it?
A human drink. It's called root beer.
I don't know.
Come on. Aren't you just a little bit curious? What do you think?
It's vile.
I know. It's so bubbly and cloying and happy.
Just like the Federation.
But you know what's really frightening? If you drink enough of it, you begin to like it.
It's insidious.
Just like the Federation.
I love that.
And then they're like, do you think they can save us? I hope so.
Yes, I love that scene.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. I love that show.
Quark, one of my,
great.
Is great, but also Garrick, one of my favorite characters.
You know, those two, it's funny, you know, there are some pairings that you're like, you would have been nice to have more pair-ups
Exactly.
between Quark and Garrick,
Absolutely.
quite frankly, because they are
They're
two
very
outsiders.
similar. Yeah, two outsiders.
They're not really welcome in their own communities.
Not really welcome in their own communities. You're right. Very similar.
It'd be nice to see more of them. It would have been nice to see more of them.
And both of them have such a great arc.
Yes.
I mean, the arc for those characters are so amazing.
Yeah, it's fun that they had that conversation because they both do kind of learn to enjoy what they despise.
Exactly.
This place that they felt like they had to be or were trapped
Yep.
around people that they didn't understand and didn't like. They came to appreciate
Exactly.
in ways they never expected. And the same is true of
Worf. They take the Worf's journey.
Yep, and the same is true of the Federation citizens. They come to appreciate Quark
Yep.
and even Garrick.
Oh, absolutely. Like there's the one scene where they're like the Klingons decide, we're going to attack the Cardassians, and he's like, call Garrick, I need a suit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like we can't tell the Cardassians this information. It would be against the treaty with the Klingons. It's like, and so they're like, Garrick, I need you in my office. I need you to measure me for a suit. It's like
I have your measurements. No, well, come.
measure me again. And they talk about classified information.
I think I have all that I need.
It's great stuff.
Oh my God, it's wonderful.
Great stuff. And there's also that episode later when the Cardassians join the Dominion and Garrick gets coded intelligence messages and stuff, and it's his job to decode them all.
Yep.
And he's just tortured by it. Because of him, Cardassians are dying.
Yep.
And he understands that ultimately he needs to liberate his people. Mm-hmm. And this is the only way he can help them.
Yep.
Is by helping the Federation kill his people.
It's a great show. I remember that show. I mean, even the one where he goes back and that housekeeper that he loves.
Yeah, like a mother.
Yeah, and they kill her. I mean, his whole arc is. I even like the episode where he gets this like Cardassian drug thing, but it unleashes him as this murderer, and so he's on the
on
ship.
Tarek Nor.
Yeah, he's just killing. And he's hunting them now because he's been unleashed by this thing. And then my favorite part of the episode is after, they get him back together or whatever, and he's talking to the doctor. And for the first time, you see in his character some embarrassment.
Yeah.
He's a little embarrassed.
He's ashamed.
Which is funny because he's a murderer.
Yeah.
But for some reason that that moment makes him embarrassed. He's ashamed of that. And they're like, well, Garrick, we don't blame you. You were under a drug. You didn't.
Yeah, but it was still inside him. It was part of him.
Yep. And people got a true view of what he looks like when he goes full on.
And it reinforced what he feared they believed he was.
Yep, absolutely. And he's embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
Love that character. And that actor is amazing.
He's great.
It's amazing.
He's great. He always, the kind of, the duplicitous and the joyful deceit that he plays with. It's, he has a conversation with Worf at one point. Worf and he go on a journey together at one point, and Garrick says, in the shuttlecraft, it's like, Worf, would you mind terribly putting in a word for me with Starfleet? I would like to join. I'd like to join up. I think they could use me, and I want to help the cause. And Worf's like, yeah, you don't believe that. He's like, absolutely. And they have this whole conversation. Eventually, Worf almost is like, he's confused, and he almost like, why me, though? He's like, oh, whatever it was. And eventually, he's like, Garrick kind of just says something even more absurd. And Worf's like, you don't believe any? You don't want to join Starfleet? He's like, no, I don't. Well, why all of this deceit? It's like, because lying is like anything. You have to practice.
You have to practice. Oh my God, he's the best. The best. Lying is like anything. You have to practice.
You have to practice. Real fun. Yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah, great show. I'm enjoying going through it again, looking at it with different eyes. Some stuff I missed. Mm-hmm. Just the way in which they take different archetypes and decide to redefine them. The Nog character is amazing.
Yeah, he goes on quite a journey.
Yes, he does. Amazing.
And I never fully warmed up to him. I always I found him annoying at first, and he gets better. He gets more interesting. I never fully warm up to him, but...
that scene, though, where he takes on those Klingons, dude.
Which ones? On the promenade when they're loitering?
Yeah, when they're loitering.
I just watched that episode yesterday.
Oh, my God. Just the idea that you have this Ferengi.
He's so upset. He's got this Napoleonic complex, He's like, they don't respect me. He's like, well, yeah.
But it's not just that he's short. It's that he's a Ferengi.
He's a Ferengi, yeah. It's a racial thing.
It goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
They just aren't seen as honorable people.
Yeah.
In that sense. And the fact that he transcends that. And
But he loses it for me a little bit, because at the end of that, he has that exchange with, on the elevator. Martok gets off the elevator, and he's getting on. Nog's getting on, and he's like, cadet, and moves along, and Nog's like, that's better. All right, knock it off. I get it, but, let's tone it down a little bit.
I liked it. I love that.
Yeah.
I like that he finds his voice, wants to do something that no other... He basically takes the same journey that Spock takes. He wants to do something.
Yeah, the same journey Worf takes. And, it's important for that character. They needed to do something with him.
Yeah.
And he, it stretches credulity a little bit, because he's at the academy for a year. Yeah. And then he's a cadet working at Deep Space Nine again. And eventually he's field promoted to ensign.
Yeah.
It's all real quick.
It's real quick. And it's definitely the real arc of Ferengi, which is more realistic, is Quark's arc.
Yes.
Where he too comes a journey, but in a Ferengi kind of way.
Yeah.
He's still a Ferengi at the end of that journey.
He is.
He's just in a different way.
But he learns Nog and his father, Rom, are very unusual. I mean, Rom goes from a very typical Ferengi and trying to murder his brother at one point to a completely different character by the end of it.
Totally different.
And Quark, his journey is much more gradual.
True.
And more understandable in a lot of ways.
Yep.
He goes from...
Well, part of Nog, part of his journey is the fact that, unlike Quark and his brother, he's not brought up on Ferengi Nor. So he's brought up... Ferenginar. He has all of these other influences at a much younger age. So,
and he's got a best friend in Jake.
He's got a best friend in Jake, and he's seeing other things. And so in some ways, he's the anti-Ferengi because he's not...
And that's the thing Captain Sisko even notices. I was concerned about the influence he would have on you, Jake. But I didn't realize at the time the influence you would have on him.
Yep.
And that was an important, I think, powerful kind of message that show...
Absolutely.
That I didn't really appreciate for a while between those two characters. That was really fun. And Quark goes on a real feminist journey
He does.
in this show.
I mean, for him, he really does. I mean, he really does.
He grows up a lot.
You know, it's also one of my favorite episodes. I'm not sure if it was Deep Space Nine, but I think it was. It was a real interesting look at us as human beings in this century. When he comes to...
Oh, when they go back in time to Roswell?
Yeah, and Quark is looking down on us.
Right, yes. These backward people. These are humans I can understand.
Yeah, he's like, they're radiating their own planet?
Why would they radiate their own planet? They're selfish, they're greedy.
These are some humans
I understand. And manipulate.
Yes. He's like, oh, yeah.
It's a great episode.
I love that episode.
And Quark, and what the general says to him is like, you remind me of my brother-in-law. And he says, oh, must be a great guy. It's like he's a car salesman and a bad one. It's like, oh, he's nothing like me. I don't trust him and I don't trust you.
I don't trust you. Oh, my God. I love that episode. And they're smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, it's like, what are they doing to themselves?
What's that disgusting smell?
I think it's called tobacco. It's a deadly drug. When used frequently, it destroys the internal organs.
If it's so deadly, then why do they use it?
It's also highly addictive.
How do they get their hands on it?
They buy it in stores.
They buy it? If they'll buy poison, they'll buy anything.
And then they're smacking their heads. It's like,
They're mimicking us.
these people are idiots.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Like, we're below Ferengi.
Oh, yes.
Which is funny because when you first see the Ferengi, they're almost not erect.
Yeah, they're all hunched over.
They're almost like animalistic.
But yeah, again, we've had this discussion. I don't care for the original version, the next generation version of the Ferengi. Oh, even the next gen, they kind of evolved even from, like the first time we see them, they're like gremlins.
Yeah.
Almost. And they get a little bit more, they get some of that kind of prophet stuff.
Yeah.
Squeezed in there in the deal making, but they're still kind of shifty.
It's sort of the same thing with the Klingons, how they rehabilitated the Klingons.
Yeah.
Got rehabilitated in Next Gen because the earlier version, they're just a bunch of drunk, nasty guys in like gold makeup. I mean, it's
but even in the Next Gen, we already had the look, and we had some of the lore of the warriors and all of that.
True.
But I think it was when Ron Moore came on board that he really helped develop what became what we understand as the Klingons, which of course now Star Trek Discovery is kind of
absolutely
messing with, and I don't like it. But
I thought they did okay, Joe.
I know. We don't rehash the whole thing.
All right.
And with that, give us a review on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Music Store. Tell a friend about the show, and we are on disagreepodcast.com. We'll talk at you next week, everybody. Bye.
Peace and chicken grease.
But anyway, maybe we should do an episode.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Let's do the show. Let's do an episode. Start it up.